kupata mvua. Na pia wakati mwingine pia kupanga mavuno. Kwa sababu
kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Punguza udaku. Wewe ni mwanamume, sio mwanamke. Nini washikashika tu wenyewe?
Pilipili inayokwasha kwa iliani.
Sasa wewe na sura yako pia inapigwa selfie.
Umeona nani akipiga selfie? Niko tafuta network huko hivi.
Huyu nani huyo ana jina? Yuaitwa Fauzia binti Mohamed na anasema tena panguza hayo maji.
Juu ukipanguza haiwezi kauka ndio.
Maji ya panguzo. Alafu mkuje kwa ofisi ASAP. Unasikia Fasia?
Fauzia.
Whatever man.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Did you see that, father? Did you? Ashok is hitting Siyama. Didn't you feel ashamed to hit your younger brother, Ashok? Why are you treating everyone like this? You have become egoistic after becoming the crown prince.
Now I do not have a doubt that the person who did this is definitely associated with some member of the palace.
If I said anything to anyone, then they will kill our son.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
You are not my mother, neither are you my woman. Sawa sawa.
Yes, Julio umesikia? You are not his mother or his woman, so keep off.
Men are supposed to be the head of the family, please.
Chabo.
If these are the leaders of tomorrow, then we actually do.
Hey, come on! This can't be our routine.
I have to tell you something.
Fine, you can tell me when you're seated.
Kinanjui, what have you done?
Shisia, can you help out here?
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Fanya hivi, wewe teremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione. Si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona.
Yoi.
Nimekuita mara ngapi Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka pay bill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200. Wekelea Note 100, Note 200. Alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
Good afternoon. This is Channel 1 Lunchtime News. I trust you're having a lovely day so far. Well, we have so much in store for you. My name is Jacky. Wambiru, our sign language interpreter is Lucy Moore. Well, remember, the country marks a year since the first case of COVID-19 was announced in the country. Well, for now, we are awaiting the the president to address the nation anytime from now. Remember, some of the issues that we anticipate that he will address the country today is on the COVID-19 status. Well, various government-imposed measures against the virus are set to lapse tomorrow, having been announced in January for a period of 60 days. And these measures include a nationwide nighttime curfew, a ban of large public gathering, and a mandatory wearing of face masks in public. Well, these are some of the measures, and the lapse of the containment measures comes as the country is experiencing its third wave of virus infections. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe Wednesday announced that the country had officially plunged into the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The declaration has prompted some government officials to urge the head of state to extend containment measures even further, calling for the shun of public gatherings. The president's speech, remember, comes as the country marks a year since the first case of COVID-19 was announced in the country. And by 11th March, that is the Thursday, yesterday, Kenya had reported 110,356 infections with 1,898 deaths, with a positivity rate of 13.3%. Well, this even as the vaccination drive of COVID-19 is ongoing across the country, with priority being given to frontline health workers as well as the security officials and teachers, among others. Kenyans have been urged to observe COVID-19 containment protocols. For now, we kick off the bulletin. We head over to Jivanji Gardens, whereby our reporter Beatrice Gatonye is on standby just to give us an update of what Kenyans are expecting ahead of President Uhuru Kenyatta's address to the nation today.
Nairobi, and basically I am here to seek Kenyans' views on the President's speech this afternoon. As we know, many are expecting a lot, and especially on the curfew, but it will be nice to hear from Kenyans themselves on what they think about and what they expect on the President's speech this afternoon. And joining me is a lady here at Jivanji. Habari yako?
Salama sana.
Karibia hapa tafadhali. Unaitwa nani?
Kwa majina naitwa Christine Kalecha. Mimi nafanya hapa Jivanji, tunatengeneza garden.
Asante.
Kwanza nashukuru Uhuru kwa kutupa hii kazi kupitia NMS. At least tunasaidia watoto wetu. Nashukuru sana.
Asante.
Ile ingine ni mambo ya curfew. Mimi naweza sema hivi, asijaribu kufunga counties. Na ile ingine ni mambo ya kuachilia rallies. Wao ndio wamespread hii corona. Kwa sababu gani waliachilia kila mtu aweke rallies, hakuna mask? Hata mimi mpaka hapo siamini kama kuna corona, kwa sababu wao wanaenda mikutano na hawana mask. Sasa wana expectaje sisi wananchi na sisi tuvae mask? Kwanza mimi mpaka hapo asianze kutufungia counties. Kwanza uchumi uko chini sana. Maisha iendelee kama kawaida, mtu afae mask hivyo tu kama corona iko kweli.
Kwa hivyo ujumbe wako this afternoon kwa president akitarajia ku address the nation ni ujumbe upi ambao wewe kama mama hapa Nairobi unatoa ujumbe wako?
Ni watu tu wavae mask kama kweli corona iko juu, atuelewi juu marari ziko na uoni hata wakubwa wakivaa mask, so hata wao wanatushangaza hivyo tu.
Yeah. That is a lady here at Jivanji saying that indeed the leaders have not been a very good example, seeing the political rallies going around and people not adhering to COVID-19 guidelines. Let's hear more from Kenyans. The president will be addressing the nation this afternoon. What is your name and what is your expectations in today's president's speech?
Okay, my name is Joseph. I'm a young Kenyan in this country. I would like to say that the president has tried a lot in containing the COVID measures. We thank him for that. We also thank for the vaccine which is coming out. We hope that it will work, because we have seen other countries, the vaccine, they have already stopped using it. Some they are saying they has issues, but we hope our vaccine will do well. Okay, about the curfew, I would like the president to relax the measures, because the economy is hurting, businesses are collapsing. Even if there is COVID, we need to balance between lives and livelihoods, because people cannot stay at home and they have no money. people need money to survive. And also about the issue of young Kenyans. Young Kenyans, they don't have jobs, yet the BBI is going on. So I would like the government to prioritize the youths, to give them jobs so that we can improve our economy. Because our population is young people. We are so many, but we don't have jobs. Yet our economy is collapsing with rallies all over. So we urge the president to contain the measures. Let us put on our masks and sanitizers and relax the curfew so that at least the businesses can come up and create opportunities for others. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joining me is another young man here. What is your name and unasemaje kuhusu ujumbe wa rais leo?
My name is Joseph Juguna. I'm a Jacky. I'm an IT expert. First of all, thank the President for the measure he has put there before, because I've missed Corona. But now I can see now Corona is not a big issue in the country. I would advise him now to release those measures, mostly for night curfew, to be minimized. So the economy can rise up, as people can resume back to your job. Because the people who are suffering at homes, because they are working at homes, the jobs are not working there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Those are some of the views that we're getting here at Jivanji. Kenyans really expressing their expectations as the president will be giving his address for the nation this afternoon, and many of them saying that the president really needs to relax the curfew and allow the economy to grow, as many young people are really suffering and many of the businesses are straining. Those are some of the expectations that Kenyans really do expect in President's speech this afternoon. And we'll be hearing more as from State House later this afternoon. That's it from here in Nairobi, Jivanji. I take you back to Jacky Wambiru in the studio. My name is Beatrice Gatonyeng-Etich.
Well, thank you so much, Beatrice Gatonyeng-Etich. Well, those are some of the views of Kenyans, mixed reactions there, whereby Kenyans are calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta to relax nationwide nighttime curfew, urging leaders at the same time to be role models by observing the COVID-19 containment protocols put in place by the government. Well, for now, we head over to Mombasa County, where our reporter Ann Mboro is on standby to bring us to give us an update on maybe what Kenyans in Mombasa County are expecting from President Uhuru Kenyatta's address this afternoon. Anne?
It is indeed a good afternoon here in Mombasa. Jacky Wambiru there in Broadcasting House, and we're coming live to you from the streets of Splendid. And right now I am at the Bunge la Wananchi here, and we're going to get what they expect from the president as we await the president, who is supposed to be giving us an address on whether the curfew will be lifted or not. And right now I'm having some residents from Mombasa County who are just going to tell me the expectations from the president's address to in a few minutes time or a few hours time. Karibu sana. Nitaomba unieleze to maybe what are your expectations now that tumekuwa na curfew for a very long time. What do you expect the president to say today, kwa sababu he's going to address the nation?
Jambo la kwanza, nashukuru sana kwa sababu president leo anatoa msimamo wake kuhusiana na mambo ya COVID. Na jambo ambalo tunaloliangazia kama wakazi, tungeona kwamba either aongeze muda wa konde wa nini ama aondoe curfew. Lakini zile measures ambazo ziko kama kunawa mikono, kuvaa barakoa na mambo mengine ambayo yanahusiana na COVID yaendelee kuwa vile vile. Lakini mambo ya hii curfew aiondoe, kwa sababu mara nyingi tumejikuta katika matata, kwa sababu watu wengine wanafanya kazi za usiku, wakirudi nyumbani wanapata askari wamewawekea kama kitega uchumi kwa sababu ya kuwashika. So uchumi pia nao umeharibika. So tungependa rais afungue mambo ya curfew, lakini zile measures zingine aendelee kuziekelea mkazo.
Kwa sasa tumeona kuwa kuna vaccine ya COVID yenye tumeweza kupata nchini. Je, wewe kama mkaazi, ikifika wakati ambapo unatakiwa uchukue hiyo vaccine, je, utachukua?
Langu la kusema kama mkazi, unajua kielelezo chema huanziwa kwa viongozi. So tungeliona kwanza vile wale viongozi wameichukua kimuhimu, na pia ndio watu wa kwanza kuwa vaccinated. So na mimi nikiona kwamba wao wamechukua hatamu ya mbele, basi mimi kama mwananchi nitaiamini, kwa sababu kulingana na sasa na zile tetesi ambazo ziko, tunaiogopa kwa sababu tetesi ni nyingi. Ukiona nchi fulani zimeifungia, nchi zingine zimeikataa, nchi zingine zimefanya kitu fulani. Lakini watuhakikishie kwamba kutokea kwa viongozi na wale ambao wako katika uongozi, kwanza wanachukua kimbele, watoke kimasomasu na kujionyesha katika upao wa mbele kwamba sisi tumechukua kwanza na tumehakikisha wananchi wetu pia watakuwa salama. Lakini kama hao hawatakuwa kipaumbele ya kuchukua hii vaccine, hata sisi inatutia wasiwasi. So ningelisi kwamba viongozi kwanza, kuanzia kwa ministers wote, maanake tunakutana nao, hii COVID tunaiona kwamba ni kitu cha muhimu sana, kwa sababu kama kiongozi wa kitaifa amepatikana, pia mmoja amepatikana na hii COVID, na tumepoteza viongozi wengine pia, basi ni muhimu katika hii vaccination. Lakini kwanza tuanze na mpangilio wa kwamba wale viongozi wanaichukua, kisha sisi wananchi tutaichukulia kitu ya muhimu na tutakuwa pamoja nao. Asante.
Labda uanze na majina yako, tutanieleza jina lako, alafu utaniambia maoni yako, hasa ni yapi unayotarajia Uhuru Kenyatta atueleze leo hii.
Kwa majina naitwa Ruben Mutua Mwanzia. Ni mwanambunge hapa bunge la Palana.
Labda unieleza matarajio yako leo, unatarajia Uhuru Kenyatta atuambie nini haswa ikifika wakati huu ambapo tunatarajia kwa labda atalift curfew ama hata lift curfew.
Mimi matarajio yangu ni Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta kwanza aondoe curfew kabisa, kwa maana hiyo curfew imeua biashara, imeua hata biashara mmoja huwa Mombasa. Kwa sababu nasema curfew aondoe kabisa. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu masharti yale mengine wanaweka, na Uhuru mwenyewe ndiye anakuwa wa kwanza kuvunja hii masharti. Anasema kuzuia mikutano, kutoka mwezi ule aliongeza masharti mpaka tarehe 12 leo mwezi wa 3 alisema kuzuia mikutano. Tunaona ako na mikutano, Raila ako na mikutano, Ruto ako na mikutano and others. Kwa nini hii sheria inakuwa wao wenyewe hawaitimizi? Lakini kwa mwananchi wa kawaida, wale mahasalas kama mimi, tunaambiwa tutimize. Angalia biashara yangu vile imeharibika kwa sababu masharti yake. Masharti yao wao wanakula na shiba, mimi nalala na njaa. Hii mizigo nabeba na mkono mna hii. Hata ningeletwa wheelbarrow, ningeweka mali yangu na katop up, ningesikia vizuri. Aondoa curfew. Masharti mengine akiongeza aweke, wanavunja hata wakiweka. Ni bure. Kwa sababu makanisani, misikitini, watu wanalazimishwa kama gari, wanalazimishwa sheria. Lakini wao wenyewe viongozi, Uhuru, Raila na Ruto, wanavunja sheria za Kenya. Kwa nini wanavunja sheria na ndio tufuate? Nani sense?
Asante.
Well, those are some of the views of members of the public in Mombasa County, some expressing the need for leaders to show, to be role models in observing COVID-19 containment protocols, as well as calling on the need for the relaxation of the nationwide nighttime curfew. Well, for now, we head over to Kisumu County, where our reporter Simon Ochola is on standby, and we shall be taking a look at what are the expectations of Kenyans ahead of President Uhuru Kenyatta's address this afternoon. Simon Ochola, bring us to speed.
Trend has been continuing as the government and of course the Ministry of Health continue to effect health protocols that have actually been set up by the government. And of course Kenyans today will be waiting with bated breath, and especially those businessmen who are actually operating along this street wanting to know what President Uhuru Kenyatta will be saying. So that then we can actually just understand what of course, Kenyans from these streets will actually be saying or their views on exactly what they expect President Uhuru Kenyatta to actually be talking about. I'll be sampling views from members of the public from who operate along these streets, so that then they can actually tell us what they expect from President Uhuru Kenyatta's address this afternoon. Habari yako bana?
Mzuri.
Naomba unieleze kwamba wewe unatarajia Rais Uhuru Kenyatta anatarajiwa kuzungumza mchana wa leo. Wewe nieleze tu unatarajia azungumzie mambo yapi, na pengine wewe ungeweza kumfikia, ungemwambia ni yapi mambo gani haswa ayazingatia kizungumza?
Kwa mimi nilikuwa naweza kuomba president kama anaweza kujua vile hizi tuko na shida juu kama sisi ni watu wa bodaboda wa Kisumu. Tulikuwa wengi wetu walikuwa wanafanya kazi hapa wa usiku na wengine wa mchana. Sasa hizi tuko wengi na tunafanya kazi wote mchana. Sasa unajua kuna wengine wanaumia juu kuna wengine hawakuwa wamezoea kufanya kazi mchana. Sasa hizi wanaumia juu inabidi wafanye kazi mchana. Sasa tulikuwa tunaomba, corona naye ni ugonjwa yenye iko, tumejua iko. Kitu yenye tunaweza omba awache tu, awafungulie nchi, watu waendelee na maisha juu hata saa hizi kuna vaksini imekuja. Sasa hiyo vaksini ndio tunaomba kama ni mzuri walete mingi wasaidie nayo watu. Sasa hata kama tunazuia hizi na tunazuia na mask na kuosha mkono na already tuko na vaccine kwa mwili. Sasa tunaomba president kama anaweza kubali afungue tu nchi.
Pengine tu nikuulize, hivi siku za karibuni tumeona kwamba ukiweza
Well, now that was Simon Ochola from Kisumu County. Now we cross over to State House, Nairobi County, where President Uhuru Kenyatta is addressing the nation. Remember, some of the issues that we anticipate that he shall be addressing is the country's COVID-19 status. Well, now let's cross over to State House, Nairobi. But remember that these various government-imposed measures against the virus are set to lapse tomorrow, which is the 13th of March 2021, having been announced in January for a period of 60 days. These measures include a nighttime curfew, a ban of a large public gathering, and mandatory wearing of face masks in public. Remember that the president's speech comes as the country marks a year since the first case of COVID-19 was reported in the country. Now, remember yesterday, that is the 11th of March, Kenya had reported 110,356 infections with 1,898 deaths, with a positivity rate at 13.3%. Now, remember that also the lapse of the containment measures comes as the country is experiencing its third wave of virus and infections. Kenyans have been urged to observe COVID-19 containment protocols. Well, we went to the public, and some of the issues that Kenyans are calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta is the relaxation of the nationwide nighttime curfew, as well as calls to leaders to be role models in observing the COVID-19 containment measures, as well as calling for the ban of public gatherings, which they say have attributed to the rising curve of the COVID-19 infections. Well, remember, we are awaiting President Uhuru Kenyatta to address the nation any moment from now. And now we cross over to State House, Nairobi. Well, bear with us. We shall be moving to State House as soon as President Uhuru Kenyatta starts addressing the nation. Well, for now, let's move on to Lari sub-county, where residents of Kamburu village have petitioned the Kiambu County Assembly to help the perennial water shortage in the area. The locals claim that despite offering acres of land for the construction of a dam in the region, they are still subjected to constant shortage of the scarce resource.
Water shortage and outbreak of diseases such as typhoid is nothing new here. For the residents of Kamburu in Lari sub-county, water is a very scarce resource, a reality they have to deal with for years.
Sana. Baka tukawa wagonjwa kwa ajili ya maji. Kwa hivyo mpeleke hiyo maneno yetu kwa serikali.
The locals say diseases such as typhoid are always lurking around, something they want addressed immediately.
Shamba zingine ziko hapa. Saba hizi zote zimejawa na mawe. Mahali kulikuwa kukikorogwa mawe yale yote ilibakisha huko, na shamba huku ni mawe.
The residents say that they have called the Kiambu County Assembly to action with the hope that somehow the decades-old water shortage can be addressed once and for all.
Obilao ni kwa Ardhi Water Works na Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company na Kiambu County wakuje pamoja wawapatie maji ya kutosha. Kama itatolewa kwa hii damu ama itatolewa kwa huko juu kwa msitu, hawajali. Kile wanataka ni maji, wapatiwe maji ya kulima na maji ya kukunywa. Hilo tu, hawana lingine.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Wamboy Otiende.
In other news, residents of Kiambu County have been urged to plant trees to help reduce the effects of carbon emission on the environment. Ruiru Municipality Manager Frederick Mwangi says the Thika Superhighway and the establishment of industries in the region have in recent years contributed greatly to environmental pollution.
Ruiru constituency in Kiambu County experiences one of the highest rates of carbon emission due to a wide traffic system and existence of many industries, most of which pollute the environment. According to Mwangi, the ripple effect has been an upsurge in respiratory diseases arising from smog and air pollution.
Let's do responsible littering, litter where it is designated. Don't just litter on our roads or anywhere.
He rooted for the urgent partition of trees in the within homesteads and the long roads to ensure a green environment that will absorb the carbon. His sentiments were echoed by Zetech University's DVC in charge of academics, Dr. Alice Njuguna, who stressed on the need to help the youth and the community take up the responsibility of cleaning the environment around them.
So we are taking the opportunity not only to train the youth, but also to let the community know that we need to work together to be able to enable our environment.
Ruiru Sub-County Administrator Ngari said the county recently bought environment equipment that will soon be distributed to high-traffic areas such as border sheds, markets, and police stations.
As a country, we are going to look into ways of putting dustbins on all centers and all places that, like border sheds, market areas where they can dispose their waste immediately they are used.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Wambiru Chege.
Calls to abstain from retrogressive cultural practices have dominated the ongoing Emanyata training in Narok County. Narok West Sub-County Chief Leader of Naikara Emanyata, Tino Olelinka, says there is need to enlighten young men on the need to resist practices such as female genital mutilation and early marriages.
On 6 March 2021, President Uhuru Kenyatta witnessed the signing of a declaration by elders to end FGM and child marriages. The head of state challenged communities to end female genital mutilation, as it was key to empowering the girl child in Kenya to take part fully in national development. At the ongoing Emanyata training in Narok County, calls to abstain retrogressive cultural practices took center stage. Narok West Sub-County Chief Leader of Naikara Emanyata, Tino Olelinka, says there was need for an all-inclusive approach to end the practices.
Limishwa, hakuna kutairiwa msichana. Na hii hata sisi tumepiga muhuri, tumesema kwa rais wetu, tunasema hiyo hata nasi tumekataa. Kwa jamii hii hatutaki mtu kukufa sababu ya kutairiwa ama kukeketwa.
Elders challenge the communities to educate their children so as to spur development in the region.
Ile wote wako, naomba wote tusije tukapatia watoto wetu eti wasiende shule. Tunasema kila mtoto aende shule, kila mtoto apate elimu ya kutosha. Hii ni advantage tu ya kujua zingine zilizopitwa na wazazi wetu ama wale wazazi wetu walisomeshwa.
Sisi wote tulikataa kabisa kwa sababu anarudisha jamii yetu nyuma. Kama kutosoma, sahi wote, hata ule chief ako na degree 2. Nataka kuambia nyinyi mkubali watoto yenyu wasome, wasijana na vijana. Lazima tusomeshe watu yote.
Well, that report brings us to our first break here on Channel 1 Lunchtime News. Well, don't go too far. We shall be right back.
Fanya hivi, wewe teremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione? Si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona. Nimekuita mara ngapi Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka paybill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200. Wekelea Note 100, Note 200. Alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
Welcome back. Now remember, we are awaiting President Uhuru Kenyatta to address the nation at any moment. For now, we proceed. Health and education officers in Nyeri are on high alert after 4 students at Bishop Gatimu Ngandu Girls High School tested positive for COVID-19. Another 23 students who may have come into contact with the positive cases have been isolated, awaiting their test results.
The 4 students from Bishop Gatimu Ngandu Girls High School in Nyeri County had been reported ill before they were taken for medical assessment in the company of their parents. Area County Commissioner Loyford Kibara, confirming the news, said the tests were conducted on other learners and teachers in the institution.
Alikuwa amechukuliwa na wazazi wao, kapelekwa hospitali nyumbani, but after investigations mahali walipelekwa hospitali wakapatikana wako na COVID.
Further, 23 students who may have been in contact with the 4 had been put in isolation, and health officers were closely monitoring them.
So in that school, we have 2 cases that are at home being treated, and another 2 plus the other 2, because total they were 4 isolated, because they seemed like they were asymptomatic. Now the 23 we quarantined. The reason we quarantined, they had contact with the other 4.
The County Health Chief Executive Officer for Health said the situation was under control. This coming as Kericho Governor Paul Chepkwony launched the vaccination drive in the county. The governor decrying a rise in COVID-19 infections, saying it would impede the gains already made in fighting the contagion.
Let me humbly request all residents to be patient as we administer this vaccine to our frontline workers and essential service providers. In solidarity with the almost 1 million residents of our great county, I chose to abstain from the first jab until when the second jab, which will cover a larger demographic, will arrive.
In Vihiga, the county boss, Dr. Wilbur Otichilo, oversaw the launch of the COVID-19 vaccination exercise. The governor warning those flouting COVID-19 protocols of dire consequences.
lazima muendelee na zile maagizo ambazo tulitoa kama serikali kwamba mtaendelea kunawa mikono kwa wakati wowote, mtaendelea kuvaa barakoa na mtaendelea kuwa mbalimbali, msiwe mnakuwa kwa vikundi karibu.
Finally, leaders and Kenyans have continued to send goodwill messages through social media platforms to ODM leader Raila Odinga. The ODM leader tested positive for COVID-19. His doctor confirmed he was in stable condition on Thursday evening. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
The national and county government of Kisii have partnered to bolster the protection of children in the region. Now, the two governments have endeavored to formulate and adopt policies aimed at providing quality healthcare, social development, education, and empowerment of children.
Framework meant to fast-track development of a child protection policy is giving hope to child protection networks in Kisii County. The Kisii County government has partnered with the national government to ensure that children are given the best available care necessary for their growth and prosperity.
We realized that according to the laws and the various policies we have in place, we're having so many statutes that are scattered within different ministries with different stakeholders. So for the formation of this process, it has really given us an ownership to fully understand what is expected from each and every one of us, because without coordination, it will be very hard for us to achieve.
Kisii County Executive Committee member Duke Echate said the policy will be subjected to public participation before implementation.
We realized that as a government and all the stakeholders that have been handling issues to do with children within the county of Kisii, we had a gap. And so this called for a multi-sectoral approach whereby we were able to bring together all the stakeholders, may it be government, non-governmental organizations within the county, and we came together and formed a team.
And on news making headlines in the business world, the Ministry of Petroleum is the final stages of implementing the Petroleum Stabilization Funds, which is expected to cushion consumers from expensive fuel prices. Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Peter Munyes has further urged the National Assembly to expedite passing the Petroleum Development Levy Order. Now, the Petroleum Levy Fund empowers the Cabinet Secretary to determine the amount of subsidy fuel consumers will be offered.
Almost a month ago, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority increased the retail price of diesel, kerosene and petrol by 5 shillings 51 cents, 5 shillings 32 cents and 8 shillings 19 cents per litre respectively. This has forced Kenyans to dig deeper into their pockets to purchase petroleum products. Speaking during the ongoing induction meeting between the petroleum and energy stakeholders and ministries, Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Munyes has said the ministry has engaged both houses of parliament in a bid to expedite the pairing of the Petroleum Stabilization Fund.
The ministry and parliament and senate discussed from last month to create a Petroleum Stabilization Fund, a fund that will cushion times of low prices, times of high prices, to help a local mwananchi. That is the best thing that has happened in this country, to stabilize the prices. So what is happening now is the regulations. We are doing the regulations. We can't implement it before we have done the regulations. And I want to assure Kenyans in the next few months, we'll have done the regulations with the Senate and National Assembly, and therefore operationalize this stabilization fund.
Munyes said that the ministry is also looking into getting funds from other governments and private sector to develop infrastructure that will help transport crude oil from Turkana County.
Cabinet has just approved to allow the Petroleum Ministry to engage governments and private sector for us to get over 500 billion shillings required to develop an infrastructure that will enable the crude we are discovering in Kenya to be commercialized, which is going to change a lot, change the economy a lot in this country.
Muñez has also told the meeting that his ministry is also pushing to have a strategy stocks fund that will regulate the supply and demand of petroleum products.
We want to develop our strategic stocks. Again, we will need regulations for that. Every country should have enough strategic stocks so that when there is a low price like what we experienced due to COVID, then we will be hitting a saving because there will be so much product locally for us to actually sell out our Kenyans and internationally.
Kenyans are waiting with bated breath to see which direction fuel prices will take during the next fuel prices review on Sunday. For Business News from Mombasa County, I am Ann Boru.
Kenya and the United Kingdom have allayed fears that local manufacturers and small businesses suffer massive losses after the two countries ratified the Economic Partnership Agreement. Kenya says there are safeguards that have been put in place to protect local businesses, especially on sensitive goods such as milk and maize.
Last Tuesday, the National Assembly ratified the Economic Partnership Agreement (EPA), opening the local market to about 1,934 products from the UK, whose import tariff will either be lowered or zero-rated. However, local small businesses have raised concerns, saying that the pact is likely to run Kenyan businesses out of town.
The liberalisation on certain imports from the UK will be manageable, and it will be spread over a long period of time, up to 25 years from entry into force. It is not, as I'm afraid inaccurately reported in recent weeks, a 25% tax break for British companies. It is not a 25-year tax break for British companies. Simply not true.
Although the EPA allows for gradual and partial reduction of tariffs from 95% of the basic duty, followed by total elimination, fears of massive losses of cheaper imports and more expensive local products due to factors of production have surfaced.
So should anything emerge during the course of implementation of this agreement that is considered harmful or retrogressive, there is inbuilt mechanisms to review this. Every 5 years, there's a mandatory 5-year review.
To protect sensitive industries in Kenya, over 1,400 UK exports are excluded from liberalisation altogether, meaning that in 2046, these imports will face the same tariff as they do now.
In 2019, Kenya imported goods valued at 32.7 billion shillings from the United Kingdom, while the country's exports to UK stood at 49.5 billion shillings, with the trade tilting in favour of Kenya. Kenya's top exports to the UK include tea, coffee and spices at 18 billion shillings, vegetables at 11.7 billion and flowers at 8 billion shillings. Data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicates that the imports from the UK include machinery, nuclear reactors, boilers, pharmaceutical beverages, spirits and vinegar, electronic equipment, textile articles and chemical products. Alan Aoko, Channel 1 Business.
Away from that, Lamu fishermen are experiencing a serious shortage of fish in the ocean following the effects of the dredging exercise being done at the multi-billion Lapset project. The port project has been going on since the year 2011 to create Africa's deepest berth and one of the largest ports in Africa.
The fishermen claim that fish stocks have reduced drastically in the last few months due to serious dredging that is currently undergoing in Kilalani to pave way for the multi-billion shillings Lamu Port and special economic zones. Previously, fishermen could get up to 200 to 300 kilograms of fish, but currently only 10 kilograms of fish may be found as they spend a lot of money to make fishing boats. However, due to severe shortage, many of them have disengaged from the trade.
Ishaharibika kabisa. Hakuna samaki, kile chakula cha samaki kimeisha kabisa. Ile nyumba za samaki zishatoka na ile chakula yenyewe ya samaki ishatoka. Sahihi tulikuwa tukipima samaki zamani ukipata kilo 200, kilo 300.
Sahii unaenda baharini kuvua, unakuja na samaki kilo 10.
Lamu County Women Representative Ruwaida Mohammed has urged the government to speed up the process of compensating area fishermen.
Watapewa lini hizo compensation zao? Niuliza bungeni au niulize scholarship zimebakia hizo 600 mbona hazijaja? Au niulize ardhi ya Lapset imefika wapi paka wapi?
Also, Lamu County Commissioner Irungu Masharia has urged the fishermen to be patient, promising that once the port begins operations, there will be many job opportunities. Terry Njenga, Channel 1 Business.
Residents of Bahati Estate in Nairobi are demanding priority in allocation of houses under the government's affordable housing project. The residents are calling for stringent measures to ensure the project benefits the intended people.
The residents of Bahati Estate say after holding a series of public participation meetings, they agreed to, among others, demand to be prioritized in the government's house upgrading project. They are urging the Ministry of Housing and Planning to first build houses on the open spaces before demolishing the existing ones. The area MCA Mark Ndungu affirmed that the government is keen on fast-tracking the completion of the project as it forms part of President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda to ensure affordable housing.
Now, China is scooping up supplies of U.S. white wheat to feed livestock, pushing export focus for the grain usually used to make sponge cakes and noodles to a 27-year high. More details in our international business brief.
The purchases are the latest disruption in commodities market caused by Chinese buying of grains and oilseeds during the coronavirus pandemic, pushing prices of major commodity crops to multi-year highs. On Tuesday, the U.S. Agriculture Department raised its forecast for exports of U.S. white wheat to 245 million bushels, the most since 1994, due to strong demand from China and South Korea. Meanwhile, post-Brexit checks on some of European Union goods coming into Britain have been delayed by 6 months in order to give businesses more time to prepare. The British government says the new timetable will help farm recovering in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. The need for health certificates on imports such as meat and milk will be pushed back from next month to October. And in-person inspections on such animal products due from July will now begin in January 2020. Finally, Netflix is trialing a crackdown on password sharing. It gained almost 37 million new subscribers in 2020 and now has more than 200 million subscribers around the world. An increase of prices, a global lockdown and shows saw Netflix report nearly $25 billion in revenue and almost $2.8 billion in profit. Terry Njenga, Channel 1 Business.
In other news, Baringo County Assembly's Health Committee has kicked off investigation into the death of 7 infants alleged to have died as a result of negligence at Baringo Referral Hospital. The committee is urging mothers who lost their babies to come out and give details to the committee, pledging to take action on those found responsible.
The death of the infants sparked an uproar amid concerns on the competence of the medics in the hospital. Medical reports show the infants died inside an incubator whose temperatures were set above normal by the students practicing medicine.
These incubators was left run by trainees, which of course we have nursing school there, and I think the assumption was the trainees were the nurses.
It is also emerging that none of the infants died in the 3 incubators in the duration we are talking about. These are preliminary investigations. We really do not want to believe them 100%. Correct. Yes. But these are informations which the committee has brought as preliminary. We have decided as an assembly that the committee needs to do a full investigation.
The Health Committee has expressed its concern and has summoned the hospital administrator and medical superintendent and Baringo CEC for Health Mary Panga to shed light on the circumstances surrounding their death.
And a section of leaders in Garissa County are demanding the registration of Kenyans of Somali origin whose fingerprints were irregularly captured in the refugee database. Now the leaders are expressing concern over the delay in removing their names from the list, saying it is causing them untold suffering.
Speaking during the reopening of the Laiboi border point in Garissa County, the leaders faulted the government for allegedly laxity in completing the exercise to deregister Kenyans who were entered into the refugee database mistakenly.
Tunataka kuangalia haki ya binadamu, hatutaki kuangalia kura zetu, hatutaki kuangalia nini? Kura zetu. Hao watoto wadogo ambaye haki yao wamedhulumiwa, tunataka wapate kura kipande yao, wapigie mtu yoyote wanataka kura, wampigie Abdiadan, wapigie kila mtu. Hatutaki siasa kwa ID card, hatutaki siasa kwa haki ya binadamu, kwa haki ya watoto wetu wadogo wadogo. Hao ni watoto wetu, sio watoto wengine.
Dadaab MP Mohamed Dahie wondered why the exercise was dragging despite the thorough vetting of the list by a committee.
Mambo ya double registration. Mimi nataka kuambia kwa ukweli wananchi wa Kenya katika refugee camp ama nje refugee camp wamepata shida mingi. Na kwa sababu wameenda kutafuta chakula na huduma na wamekosa kitambulisho hata baada ya mtukufu rais kuidhinisha hiyo mambo. Hata baada ya serikali kufanya kazi yote.
Lagdera MP Mohamed Hiri urged government agencies charged with the responsibility to hasten the process for those affected to begin to enjoy their rights as citizens. They also urged the government to reopen the border as the area is a fully fledged sub-county to hasten development and deepen ties with the neighboring countries. Northeastern Regional Commissioner Musyoka Ndalana said the process of deregistration was at an advanced stage, adding that the government is in talks with the neighboring countries to reopen the border.
Fanya hivi, wewe teremuka tu chini. Hata watu wanangojea, unasema unione. Si ninakuona ndio huyu kucha. Kucha ninakuona.
Yoi.
Nimekuita mara ngapi Kate? This is the Nissan Note.
Hii ndio motoka.
Not that this is the Nissan Note we are giving out.
Na ni rahisi sana kuwekelea bid. Unaenda kwenye lipa na M-Pesa. Unaweka paybill number 4032353. Kisha unakelea account number ya Nissan Note ni Note, N-O-T-E. Namba ambayo unapenda, labda unapenda 100, labda unapenda 200. Wekelea Note 100, Note 200. Alafu tutakuitisha shilingi 40 peke yake, 40 bob only. Weka pin yako, utakuwa umekelea bid ya hii Nissan Note. Inakungoja wewe mahali popote ulipo. Mimi na mtumishi tutakupea.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii kwa simu yako